Uh, testing, 1, 2, 3. Testing, 1, 2, 3. Sorry about that, everyone. I made a mistake, and shoot, sorry. Let me try to. There we go. Where's my video manager? Here we go. Yeah, okay, sorry. I'm really sorry about that. Just a screw up on my part. So, just to quickly recap. Wait, do we? Okay, yeah. So we're getting, sorry, just have to, regather myself. I didn't, okay. We just talked to Marcel Caranti, and he asked for a majority of the shares in our privatization effort. And I basically said, because, deal's a deal. I told him, yeah, of course, I'll give him the deal. So I guess that's been agreed upon. What we're going to do is we're going to sell off parts of the sort of state corporation and Nadam Mining Group. And sorry. Sorry, I'm all frazzled. No, we're not giving him. Okay. We are going to sell off part of the Source State Corporation directly to Marcel because that's part of the deal. And we told him, like, hey, you'll get one favor, right? That's the agreement for the media deal. I'm refusing to privatize Nadam Mining Group just because they're a big part in our energy strategy and they mine coal, and that's not something I'm going to privatize. Source State Corporation, however, I'm a bit more lenient on since we have other options in terms of high quality construction companies such as Taurus Holding. So, for this, we're going to probably privatize parts of Source State Corporation and sell them directly to Marcel for for both, one, to help our economy, and two, renew the deal. Okay? Yeah. Border police have reported an increased number of arrests at Bush and Vejek refugees attempt to enter the country from Velma without legal documents. However, due to our relaxed immigration policy, a large majority of skilled and educated workers have been accepted. Ooh, that's good. However, it is unsure if they have had any history of crime and violence. Massive rally condemning President Rain. Yeah, I'm sorry about that. Defending the Solace interpretation of citizens' rights. They believe that the president's defense of the Constitution is a clear indication that the government has no intention of introducing significant reforms. Well, we are still going to do the semi-autonomous zone. Governor Braun guilty. Good. Increased support for British rights. Also very good. Wait. Recent statements from the officials of the WPB urging the government to incorporate changes to Articles 6 and 7. Okay. Yeah. Okay. All right, let's talk to Lucian. Lucian scheduled some time with me to discuss the potential political repercussions of the upcoming economy meeting. Oh, that's helpful. Okay, we can see what the effects of privatizing parts of the Source State Corporation will be, or entirely privatizing it. I'm not sure. The only reason we're not privatizing the dam is, again, they're critical in our energy strategy. They mine the coal, and I believe that if it's natural resources, it should not be for profit. It should be controlled by the state and worked by unions. So, I think it's a disaster to have something as critical as energy be a for-profit business. That's why we bought up so many shares in Gassam. He arrived on time as usual and took his seat right across from me. Good morning, Mr. President. Lucian had dark circles below his eyes. Plethora of political developments must have been weighing on even a workaholic like him. Look a bit tired. Are you getting enough sleep? I'm trying to, sir. Don't push yourself too much. I will try not to. I must say, you don't look much better. I looked at myself in a small hand mirror. Similar circles were beneath my eyes as well. I booked some of your time to pre-plan for today's meeting at the Ministry of Economy. But before going into the economic direction, I want to give you a short status update. After you and Mr. Kiebner made your statement in support of the Solace After you and Mr. Keebner made your statement in support of Saul's constitutionalism, the Supreme Court prioritized the case and it quickly announced a verdict. It was very clever of you to use Saulism against them. They couldn't afford to look like hypocrites, so they must have moved on it very quickly. The court ruled that Felix Braun is to be relieved from his position as governor for abusing his powers to discriminate against Source citizens. He is banned from serving in any political positions in the future and will be charged with a fine of 5 million Source Ren. Fine's nice, too. Resettlement policies of Berja are ruled to be unconstitutional and have been revoked. However, the court has also rejected Arson's arguments about the Constitution, ruling that all citizens of Sordland are swords regardless of ethnicity and are completely equal before the law. The results received a mixed response from the Bullish community. Activists, radicals, and BFF sympathizers have condemned the ruling. However, the majority seems to recognize that justice has been served. This is true. Thank you for informing me, Lucian. Do you have any idea on how we proceed? I don't think there's anything we need to do at this moment, sir. There is one important detail. The seat of Governor of Berja must be filled. Normally, the president appoints the governor of the special zone directly. I'm afraid despite Miss Morgna's protest, the court decided to take a completely different route on this. Mr. Hawker argued that a premature departure of a governor during their term is an exceptional case. They ruled that the deputy of Governor Braun will assume this duty until the end of term. Mr. Keebner might have played you, unfortunately. The deputy in question, Mr. Cruel, is a member of the NFP. I'm afraid the court delivered Berja straight into the NFP's hands. Fucking bastards. Yeah. Oops, sorry, audio. Yeah, I'm not surprised by this outcome. I mean, I knew this would happen, but like it's such a shitty thing because the NFP played this really intelligently. I despise them for it. This is very bad news. What do we do now? Unfortunately, there's nothing we can do about it, sir. Luckily, Mr. Cruel will not be able to resume any of his predecessors in constitutional activities. Of course, giving such a powerful position to a far-right nationalist is still very concerning. Luckily, Miss Morgna is already working on the semi-autonomous zone in Berja. We may still be able to get rid of Mr. Cruel that way. However, there might be a problem with its timing. It would likely be ready after the vote for the amendments. If the vote succeeds, as we've been working for, your limited decree powers won't be enough to enact a change this grand. I'm afraid you won't be able to enact this change without the approval of the Assembly in that scenario. It'll be very hard to convince them to revoke the special zone, but with Mr. Braun, an important fundraiser for the USP, gone, the party may be willing to make a move against Governor Cruel. We should paint Mr. Cruel as a threat to the party's rule. I believe we can take advantage of partisanship and get them behind us. Of course, that's a clever strategy, sir. He took a look at his watch. For now, let's return back to the real reason we are here, our economic direction. We need to be cautious. Any grand plans about the economy also heavily influence our political standing. We would be changing our relationship with the old guard and the oligarchs and the opposition. As you know, this meeting will give you the opportunity to alter the ownership of the Big Four, the largest corporations in all of Sordland. We can start the process of nationalization or privatization, or we can just keep the status quo. Again, I remind you that any change will tip an already fragile balance. I personally think we should stay out of this and keep things as they are. There's no need to make new political enemies at this stage in our term. But ultimately, the decision is yours. What are you leaning towards? How should we move forward? Yeah, we already made the deal with Marcel, so we'll privatize these companies. I have to ask, why? What is your intention? What is my answer here? Well, it's not 3. We do need the money. Yeah, privatization will help bring the country out of recession. I don't entirely believe that, but in this case, it's kind of true, both because of the deal Marcel and how much debt we're in. Although this is true, too. Marcel might help me a lot in the Assembly. say the recession. That may be true, but taking everything out of state hands may have dire repercussions in a country like ours. We need to think about this carefully. One thing to remember is that since you've been transparent about promoting a market economy, privatization will not cost us much support. Lucian took a note in his notebook. I have received a report from the Ministry of Economy that may impact your decision. Oh? Unfortunately, we've missed our government budget targets for the current quarter. The plan to change the ownership of important assets could help us generate much needed resources to further improve economic development for the next election. It's just something to consider, as is our relationship with the oligarchs. We need to remember that they only care about their own profits. Unfortunately, we aren't on good terms with them. This situation has been obstructing some of our efforts with the economic recovery. However, if we implement a privatization plan, they would surely be delighted. Still, we need to make sure that we don't go overboard with it. If we do, we might lose our base both in the USP and among the people. If we privatize only a part of their companies, perhaps we can get out of this unscathed. That would certainly be a wise compromise. Some of my concerns indicate that there seems to be a contest for leadership in the Lotharbert group. It looks like Marcel Caronti is making moves to become the key figure. Caronti probably wants his father's seat at the head of the group, and Tusk doesn't want to let go of it. It's a significant power struggle, considering these are the heads of Sordland's two largest private corporations. If we over-privatize our state-owned companies, the Source State Corporation and the Nadam Mining Group, it could result in the balance tipping to one side. They would fight over buying up the shares and cause chaos. Since you have already made the decision to privatize, you need to be decisive in your follow-up actions. Did Marcel or Tusk contact you? I received a call from Marcel. I trust Lucian here. I'm going to tell him and get the best information that I possibly can. Sorry, 1 second. Just gonna adjust my mic slightly. And I need to check something really quick. Sorry about this. Okay, all good. Yeah, all good. Sorry about that. We're back. I received a call from Marcel. What did he ask for? He wanted to make a deal to leave HOS untouched. I mean, that was kind of implied already, but... And then? I said I'd think about it. Very well. Was that all he wanted? He also wants me to give him the shares from privatization to lower Tusk's influence. As I expected. The internal conflict among the oligarchs puts us in an interesting position. Our relationship with Walter Tusk hasn't been good so far. Any move we make now has to be calculated and thought through. Lucian looked at his watch. Very well then. It's almost time. I will inform Mr. Hole of your decision, and he will make the necessary preparations to formulate a plan. I must get back to work now. See you at the next meeting. Thank you for your time, sir. Lucian got up from his chair and left the office. Corruption tackled? Really? The successful implementation of successive anti-corruption policies have led to a significant reduction in illegal activities, thereby improving the efficiency of the system and strengthening the rule of law in Sordland. The government's efforts to combat corruption have resulted in the prosecution of high-profile corrupt individuals, sending a strong message to others who might be tempted to engage in such activities. Excellent. That's very good. Source Arcasian joint drills at Ellery Air Base. Good. Increased support for British rights outside of Berja. Good. This guy. WPB condemns Supreme Court decision. As expected, that's not unfair. Okay. We continue on. CSP launches first 3 satellites. Leap in surveillance. Interesting. Vagsland activity in the Navy active in Markian Sea. Okay. Mixed reaction and protests against Supreme Court decisions. Yeah, fair enough. BFF threatens attacks against President Rain Casaro Kibner. That's bad. Herbert Krull assumes office. Condemning of... Okay. Okay. Alright, this is going to be huge. Ownership changes of major corporations. Lucian and I arrived at the Ministry of Economy. Assistants took our coats and showed us into the meeting room where Simon, Edith, Gus, and Mikhail were waiting. As soon as I entered, their chatter stopped and they stood up. After a few pleasantries, everyone but Simon took their seats. He opened his briefcase, produced a folder, and proceeded to go over some of the documents. Greetings, everyone. Welcome to the Ministry of Economy. Without further ado, we are, of course, here today to discuss our economic shift towards privatization. Sorry again. I need to check something else. Okay, good. And sorry, last thing. Sorry, this stream is so botched. Yeah. Okay, good. Everything's in order. Again, very sorry about that. We continue on. All right. Wait. Yeah. Okay, we continue on. We're, of course, here today to discuss our economic shift towards privatization. Mikhail and Edith exchanged smiles. Ugh. Mr. President? Before you arrived, Mikhail and Edith were expressing their delight at your decision to go down this path. Oh, good for them. Wonderful news, I'd say. I'm glad we're staying firmly on the path to a market economy. This is certainly the right direction. It will boost our economy by providing the government much-needed funds right now. We can then use these funds to increase development for the future. It's a win-win situation for sure. I really want to just... I really want to say you're saying this only because you have a stake in it. Do I challenge them here? No. No. Just be friendly. I'm glad we're on the same page. Certainly. Simon handed me and everyone else in the room 2 neat stacks of documents. Let's move on to how we can go about implementing a privatization plan. Please turn to page 6. The title is the Sordland State Corporation. As you can see on the document, the first company up for discussion is the Sordland State Corporation. The Sordland State Corporation, or SSC for short, has been around for over half a century. Most recently, they've been handling a wide range of state construction projects. In their portfolio, they have government buildings. Wait a minute. They don't own those, right? The Sordland State Corporation, or SSE for short, has been around for over half a century. Most recently, they've been handling a wide range of state construction projects. In their portfolio, they have government buildings, various infrastructure projects, state libraries, embassies, basically anything government-related. Privatizing a company like this would certainly increase the government's budget. That, of course, will result in a lot of opportunities for us to provide for our citizens. The funds could also be used to boost our popularity, especially with the elections approaching. Not to mention the various other areas in which we can and should spend the money. However, there is one catch. The conservative majority of the USP would not like this decision at all. For them, these state companies are part and parcel with Sordland's identity. If we privatize these companies entirely and sell too many shares in them, it will have consequences for us in the assembly. What would the effects be if we fully privatize the Sordland State Corporation? We would gain tremendous amount of money for the government. We can invest that money in future government projects which would popularize our administration, increasing the chances for our re-election. Okay. The popularity might not make up for losing the lion's share of the conservative vote. Oh, wait. Yeah, we haven't even done the assembly vote yet. Ooh, this is actually more dangerous than I thought. Okay. Yeah. That will lose us a lot of support. Yawn, I'm so tired. Yeah, me too. I haven't slept much. Conservatives comprise the majority of the assembly. If we hurt their national pride, they'll turn on us. I'm against full privatization. We shouldn't make enemies at this stage. What if we sell a minority share of the SSE? It would be better than nothing, but why stop there? A minority stake won't help our government as much. We need to be decisive. On the other hand, a minority share would create less friction. That would be my preference. What about selling a majority share? This is certainly a very good option. The state would keep some of the SSE's operation under control and the government would have lots to gain. Mostly, what games do I play? Mostly games like this. Mostly morality simulators, indie games, choose your own adventure stuff, RPGs, I guess. I'm a big fan of Fallout New Vegas. Yeah. The state would keep some of the SSC's operations under control, and the government would have lots of gains. I'm leaning towards this option myself. Retaining control while increasing our budget, I don't see a downside. Let's move on to the next option. Very well. Please turn to page 26. Nadam Mining Group. So majority shares might actually be the best call here. We retain some of our control, but we also gain a huge stack of the profits, and we can make good on our deal with Marcel and sell him the shares directly. That sounds good. For context, again, I'm holding up my end of the bargain to Marcel. He asked me to sell him the shares directly that we're going to be privatizing here, and I told him, of course, deal's a deal, and my plan here is not to touch the damn mining group just because they mine a lot of our energy. They mine a lot of coal in Lauren, and that is critical to our energy plan. So we're not privatizing the dam, but we might privatize Lava Source State Corporation. I thought that's what Marcel was going to ask for to compete with Tusk, but he just asked for any shares that he could get. Fair enough, I guess. The Dam Mining Group. It is one of the largest mining corporations in Eastern Mokopa, let alone Sordland. Wow, I didn't know it was that big. They call themselves the leaders of the world in coal. They certainly have enough evidence to back that up. Perhaps they're not as large as SSC, but we still have a lot to gain if Nadam Mining Group is privatized. I fully support privatization of this company to any extent. Certainly a good option to gain enough capital to end the recession once and for all. I have contacts in Nadam. It is one of the most valuable corporations of the last decade. Is this game a text adventure? Pretty much, yeah. It's in my opinion, one of the most in-depth political, text-based visual novels I've ever played. I love this game so much. I can vouch for that. I have personal experience with the company myself. It would be a great addition to any portfolio. What would be the effects if we fully privatized the Dam Mining Group? It would be a very profitable sell. I know many people who would kill to have a portion of that company. I do think this is a good option. We could simply fully privatize Nadam along with SSC to bring in a large influx of money to the government. Mr. President, I hate to repeat myself, but fully privatizing one state-owned company, let alone two, will anger our conservative voter base. All the budget in the world won't matter if you aren't reelected. That's a fair statement. I've been told that Slay the Princess is really, really good. I'd really love to play it at some point. I think it'd be a great game to stream. I'm definitely keeping it in mind. Honestly, might be in the next week or two. I don't know. What are your thoughts on selling a minority share? Coupled with a minority share of SSC, that is the way to go. It would, however, be a lost opportunity. I think we should sell a majority share instead. Definitely not a bad idea at all. What about selling a majority share? My preference is selling a majority share of both SSC and Nadam. It would give us the most value. I think we should go with this choice. This might still generate a backlash from the assembly and the general public. We should go for a minority share instead. All right, I'm ready to make a decision. Sounds good. Let's go over the document once again then. I read all of Simon's documents once more, then flipped to the last page. It was time to make some decisions. The companies below represent the two largest state corporations which play a key role in several strategic industries. You can privatize them by selling a minority, majority, or the entirety of the company to private interests. So, SSC is a state corporation which stands as the largest construction company in Sordland. The main business units of the group are planning and design, project development, equipment leasing, and construction. Trade and construction. They do trade too? Huh. Okay. Either we sell off the entire thing, which would definitely anger our conservative voter base, but gets a lot of money, I think. I don't know how much, though. I wish I knew how much. That would help my decision a lot. But either we fully privatize it. We're not doing fully state-owned. Majority state-owned isn't really helpful. We're losing support from the conservatives, and we're not gaining that much money for it. I don't think it's a good idea. But I think selling off a large portion of it will do enough to keep it in state control. And hey, maybe we could buy it back at some point. Keep it enough in state control that it won't piss off the conservatives too much, but also get us a large sum of money. And also making good on the deal with Marcel. So I think fully privatized, minority state-owned. We're going to sell majority of our shares in Source State Corporation. I think that's the best move here. And Nadam Mining Group, like I said, Nadam Mining Group is critical to our energy strategy. We are not selling anything. Let's actually just read this. Nadam Mining is the largest state-owned mining corporation in all of Eastern Macopa. Also, that's big. I didn't know it was that huge. Its main task is to explore and harness mineral wealth of the regions and make value addition. The company primarily extracts coal, gold, and diamonds. So in theory, we could sell like a minority share of this. But again, this is critical to our energy plan, and I have no interest in privatizing it. So we'll sell a majority share in Source State Corporation, and we'll leave Nadam Mining Group firmly in our hands. I think this is a good choice. I think this will make Marcel happy. This won't lose us too much conservative support. This keeps my energy strategy intact because Nadam Mining Group is the one we want to focus on, and this will get us hopefully a fair bit of capital back into the government. We really need the capital. Holy shit, we need the money. I hope there's another way we can make a bit more, but fully state-owned, minority state-owned. Yep. Okay, let's do it. I signed the document altering the ownership of the Big Four with a flourish. Simon leaned back in his chair. So, this is the path we are taking. I want to thank you, Mr. President. This decision will revitalize our economy. Although I wish we could have proceeded with privatization in a greater capacity, it is a start. Certainly a step in the right direction. Partial privatization will still deal damage to our conservative voter base, but it is nothing we can't handle. Good. I suspect that, regardless, we will lose the support of some conservatives in the Assembly. Yeah. But the gains we receive will offset the losses. I hope you're right. I will do the best I can. If you'll excuse me, I have to get to work immediately. There's much to be done. Lucian packed up his bag and started making his way towards the entrance. That will be it for today, then. I know everyone has very busy schedules. Thank you all for coming. Great work, everyone. Indeed. I put the documents in my suitcase and left the room with Lucian. Okay, that got us 2 government budget. That really isn't much. I'm not particularly happy with that. It's not terrible or anything, but it could have been a lot better. Oh, this. Okay, I remember this. Unified Education Language Act. The Grand National Assembly advocates for the Unified Education Language Act to strengthen national unity and facilitate consistent, comprehensive learning across Sordland. So yeah, this is basically just the NFP's pathetic attempt to ban the Blurge language from being taught in Sordland, which is stupid. You can't just not teach people in the language that they speak. That's insane. All education institutions in Sordland are required to conduct their teaching in the country's official language. Yeah. Absolutely not. Fuck this. It's a pathetic plot from the NFP to try to suppress the British even more. I'm not, playing with it. Results of the economic direction. The privatization process had begun, and as I expected, this is a terrifying meeting. Sordland's 2 most prominent oligarchs wanted to speak to me about it. Lucian showed Marcel Caronti and Walter Tusk into the conference room. The 2 men sat across the table, leaving an empty chair in between them. Good to see you, President. It's been a while. Here, take this, a gift. He brought a bottle of Earlery Maroon 30-year-old. I heard Peter say that you favorite this one. Thanks for the gift. Anytime. Marcel burst out laughing. Old man, you always think so small. You lack the vision to see the bigger picture. Marcel approached me and we shook hands. It's nice to see you, Mr. President. Here, a real gift. He took a set of car keys from his pocket and gave them to me. Come, take a look. He's giving me a car? I looked out the window. On the road leading to the palace, I saw a glittering brand new Randorfini sports car. A car that only the richest of the richest in Sordland could afford. It's yours. Uh... Uh... I can't take this. Of course you can. It's a gift. Surely better than a bottle of whiskey, little boy. Do you think I can't do better? Me, Walter Tusk. Look, I'd ask the question, why are you two showering me with gifts? Obviously, they're trying to bribe me. I know the answer to that question. Thank you both. Let's begin the meeting. Sounds good. Gentlemen, please take your seats. They sat down. Lucian produced a set of documents from his briefcase. He put on his reading glasses. So, Mr. Tusk and Mr. Cronty, President Rain is about to sell private shares in the Source State Corporation, and now you're here, showering him with gifts. You're both clearly more skilled at business than you are at subterfuge. Thank you, Lucian. I love you. So tell us, why do you deserve to claim these shares before they go on the general market? Walter cleared his throat. President, listen. We, you, and I haven't been on the best of terms lately, but I want to nurture a profitable relationship between us where we both win. These shares are very important to me. If I had them, I could do so much more for Sordland. Actually, this would be very, very strong for Tusk to have, in particular, because he controls a huge amount. He controls underhaul construction, which already does a significant amount of construction. So having the Source State Corporation under his pocket too is very strong for him. So much more for you. You haven't even seen what I and my connections are capable of. Do you want to get reelected? No problem. I'll make sure of it. This is my offer to you. I'll do whatever it takes to make you president for another term. Doesn't that sound great? Enticing. I will think about it. Good. I hope you come to the right conclusion then. Before you spew those big words, make sure you can actually do it, Walter. Mr. President, first off, Mr. Tusk here is lying about the extent of his influence. True, he might have command over some people in the assembly, but what he is sitting on top of right now was built by my father, Conrath Caranti. I want to be straightforward with you. Don't forget that I have something that gives me an edge over this man and his archaic ways. A powerful tool. Control over the media. Public opinion means everything when it comes to elections. And guess what? These shares will increase my already considerable influence over newspapers, radio, and television. I can do so much more to sway the public in your favor. Power over the assembly is nothing compared to power over the people. Basically, a guaranteed win. He can never, ever hope to beat this offer. You little snake. Marcel has a point. Media is a powerful tool, after all. What's the decision, Mr. President? Yeah, what's it going to be? Marcel leaned forward with anticipation. Oh, cool. Okay, so I've never seen this decision before. This is the first time I'm doing this. But, okay, so, again, we made a deal with Marcel. They're going to Marcel. This isn't really a question. So, equally distributed? No. I'm glad I told Lucian, because him backing me up in this decision makes it seem a bit more like I'm taking the advice of my advisor. That's nice. Also, I get +1 personal wealth, which is kind of nice. Yeah, ideally, I would just put these to the market and, let everybody take a shot at them. Obviously, these two would win out because, they're the ones with the most money. They can afford the most of the shares, clearly. But because of the deal I made with Marcel, the shares will go to Marcel. But I'm not, the shares will go to Marcel. What? Haven't you heard a word of what I said? It's all right, old man. You learned your place today. Thank you for the wise decision, Mr. President. I'll arrange a small transfer as a personal thanks. Very well, here's the paperwork. Lucian put a stack of papers in front of Marcel. He pointed to various sections and pages in the stacks of papers. You'll need to sign here, here, and here. After the papers were signed, Marcel and Walter stood up. I think we all have very busy schedules. I will take my leave now. See you later, President. I will take my leave as well. The two men packed their belongings and left the meeting room. Car key. Huh. It isn't merely a key, but an emblem of speed, power, and luxury. Its cold metal holds the thrill of driving a sports car, embodying the prestige of the Randolphini brand. A classic lesbian auto giant. Huh. Cool. I don't really need a car. I have Serge, so I don't know what I'm going to do with it, but okay, I guess. New leader of the oligarchs, I see. Well, guess it's good that we're friendly with him. Privatization of the Source State Corporation. Today, the government has announced changes to the ownership of one of the two largest state corporations in Sordland. Under President Rain's new privatization plan, a sizable portion of the Source State Corporation, including their subsidiaries and operations, will now belong to the private sector. This move is estimated to reduce the effects of recession. However, there is still uncertainty and speculations among the experts of the state. The upcoming months will show the reality behind President Rain's decisions. Excuse me, hiccups. Rumberger informs of whistleblower escape. Ah, interesting. That's gonna be interesting in the very near future. Oh, the assembly vote time. Ooh, okay. Okay, I guess it's all for this. I'm nervous. I hope it gets through. Actually, I'm more worried about the Supreme Court, to be honest. I think we're good for this constitution. I suppose we'll see. Serge was driving me towards the Grand National Assembly for today's historic vote. It was a big day. I wondered whether my attempt at changing the Constitution would end any differently than Alfonso's. I looked out the window as the noise of the city diminished, and I saw that we were already inside the palace complex. The complex housed the buildings of all government branches in the center of Holzord, and it was one of the biggest developments in Sordland. The ruined palace stood on a small hilltop surrounded by trees. We passed by the palace and entered the forest that separated from the Grand National Assembly. We drove on the small road that wound through the forest. It was a warm day, so I rolled down the window. I could hear birds singing from the trees. Are you okay back there, sir? Hey, Serge, I'm okay. How are you doing? I'm as good as can be, sir. Serge made a left turn out the forest and entered the vast garden of the area of the assembly. Did you know that Mr. Tarkin's soul came to Holzard this morning? I heard some politicians talking about it today. Apparently, this is the first time he's come to the city in the last 5 years. I thought he left the mainland and lived on Dour Island, never to return to politics, but they were saying he might be here to exercise his member of honor rights for the first time. Wait, what? Who was talking about this? I overheard several men talking about it around the gardens of the assembly, sir. I'm not sure who they were. It could just be rumors, of course. Do you think he's here because of today's vote? Yes, Serge. Most likely. Well, I'm sure he will support you, sir. We'll learn soon enough. He won't, but... Serge drove inside the gates of the parkway and parked the car. We have arrived, sir. Thank you, Serge. Good luck with the vote, sir. My family and I are all behind you. I'm sure Sordland is as well. I love Serge so much. I walked up the white stone stairs to of the Grand National Assembly. The entrance looked like a temple gate from the classical era. The door opened to reveal vast corridors of wood and white stone. I joined the crowd of people who were walking slowly towards the parliamentary hall. Suddenly, I noticed Lucian emerge from the crowd, packed politicians in front of me. He looked relieved when he saw me. Ah, sir, there you are. Have you seen Vice President Vectorn? He's nowhere to be found. I just arrived here, Lucian. I hope Mr. Vectorn arrives soon, too. At any rate, how about yourself? Are you ready to finally face the assembly, sir? Lucian, I've just heard something very worrying from Serge. We'll address that later, sir. Come on, we must go inside. We followed the crowd into the parliamentary hall. After we were inside, Lucian and I separated to take our assigned seats. I went up to the mezzanine overlooking the hall and sat down. I waited as the MPs took their place inside the hall one by one. After a while, I saw Gloria walk to her elevated seat at the center of the hall. Ladies and gentlemen, please take your seats. We will shortly begin with today's agenda of the USP's proposed change to the Constitution of Sordland. After a short while, everyone was in their seats. According to the current Constitution, constitutional amendments require a two-thirds majority in order to reach Assembly approval. If the vote succeeds, the proposal will be sent to the Supreme Court. The proposal in question includes these points. She started reading the proposal to the Assembly. First section of the changes, Article 57 is modified with the following. To continue reading the proposal, highlighting each section. Section 2, paragraph 36, she went on, may not exercise his right to, and on, the justices of the Supreme Court. Most of the MPs seemed like they were already falling asleep. A simple majority is considered. The seat was really hurting my back. Section 4, paragraph 44A. It felt like an eternity had passed. Finally, she finished reading the changes. I hereby invite all of you to vote. She struck her gavel down with a loud bang that made some MPs jump up in shock as they woke from their sleep. As I previously stated, it will require a 2/3 majority in order to pass. You may now cast your votes. I felt the need to stand up and stretch. I looked down at the hall from the platform I was seated on. Some assembly members immediately walked to the ballot box to cast their votes. Most of them, however, began to congregate in groups around the hall, discussing the changes. Go to the hall, where the MPs are. As soon as I reached the bottom of the stairs, Casero Keebner approached me. Mr. President, how are you feeling about the vote? Very positive. Even knowing you don't have our support? How optimistic of you. I have lost my respect for you, Mr. Rain. So many problems in Sordland that must be addressed, and yet you insist on stalling us with your democratic reforms. I know you will fail. You will lose the game, and so will your entire administration. I hope to be there when it happens. Keep hoping, Mr. Keebner. He laughed. He abruptly turned away from me and walked towards his seat. Then I saw Lucian waving at me. He was among a group of people in the corner of the hall. I walked up to him. On my way, I bumped into Masoon Lek. Mr. President, I'm sorry, I didn't see you there. I wish you good luck with the vote. I respect your fight to abolish the Member of Honor position. At last, a chance to hold Tarkin Sol accountable for what he did to the Bluish people. You have my support. I'd like to also see you support Bluish rights in the future. I hope you stand by us. Thank you for the kind words. Oh, you know what? I'm just going to say, I will fight for Bluish rights, Mr. Lek. Do not doubt that. I hope you stand by your words, Mr. President. Anyway, I've got to cast my vote. He shook my hand and walked away. I finally reached Lucian, now deep in conversation with another member of our party. He excused himself and turned towards me. Sir, did you vote yet? We have to be quick. No, let's vote. I signed my vote and prepared the envelope. Together, Lucian and I walked to the center of the hall to cast our votes. He kept rushing me throughout the process. Gloria bowed her head slightly in respect as she saw us vote. Lucian pulled on my arm and whispered in my ear, Mr. President, we have a problem. Tarkin Sol is here. What should we do? You have to accelerate the voting process. We need everybody to vote as soon as possible. We don't know what he's capable of right now, but if assembly members see him, he might influence them against the proposal. We should make people vote now. Indeed, sir, but how? Go ask Gloria to speed up the voting. I walked to Gloria and asked her to speed up the voting. I can't do that, Mr. President. Shit. Don't worry, there's already a time limit and we are abiding by the rules. Assembly members are used to this process. Shit. Sir, what do we do? He pointed at the back of the assembly near one of the exits. I followed his finger to see Tarkin Sol sitting there. He looked much older than he did 5 years ago, but I could tell he had the same fire in him. Some MPs had already gathered around him and we were chatting in awe. The assembly gradually went quiet as people started to notice Sol's presence in the hall. Should we do something? I actually don't know what to do here. We should refrain from giving him the spotlight he expects. Maybe you can address him after the vote. As I was talking to Lucian, I saw Casero Keebner walking to the back of the hall towards Tarkin Sol. He bowed in front of Sol and gave him a military salute. Seeing this, more people started to approach him. Suddenly, Gloria came up behind us. Gentlemen, why don't you go back to your seats? Let's follow the procedure. Oh, by the way, we have 251 members here today. As you can see, the Member of Honor is here. He has already cast his vote. Has he now? So, Mrs. Tory, how many votes are we missing? Only a few. Albin Clavin and 3 other men approached us with envelopes in their hands. And these must be them. Good day to you, gentlemen. Madam Speaker. Good day, Mr. Clavin. I'm sorry to take so long, Mr. President. There was a friend who needed more clarification for his vote. He gestured at the men behind him. Let's get this over with, gentlemen. They went ahead and cast their votes. Let's win this, Mr. President. He walked to his seat with a fist in the air. Now, why don't you get back to your seats as well? Very well, we shall. We both went to our seats. When I returned back to the mezzanine, I saw Peter sitting in the chair next to mine. Hey, where were you? I was right here. Where were you? No, you were not. I was here until the voting began. I mean, maybe it was not at this exact seat, sure, but I was here in the assembly. He looked at Gloria, and as she and her assistants counted the votes. The speaker's seat was only a few meters away from our platform. I really hope the proposal goes through. I hope so too. Let's see. I'm actually nervous. I'm really nervous. He tried to get, let's see. He tried to get Gloria's attention by waving at her. How many votes left? Gloria looked at Peter. She looked annoyed. 117 eyes. More votes to count. We need 167? Oh, wait. We need 167. Oh, shit. Ooh, what? Oh, no. 50 votes left, and we still need 49 more eyes. Shit. Shit. Peter looked uneasy. Peter pointed where Franz Richter was sitting. Look at Franz over there. I'm sure he's behind this mess. You shouldn't have trusted him. It's not over yet. Don't jump to conclusions. Well. Oh, this is gonna... Oh, this is... Holy shit. I thought we had this. It must have been the Sword State Corporation. Fuck. A single bang from Gloria's gavel reverberated across the hall. Everyone fell silent. The voting has been concluded. I leaned forward to hear the results. What? Wow. Wow. The proposal has 122 ayes and 129 nays. It did not even reach the numbers of signatures required to support it. Thereby, the Grand National Assembly has decisively rejected the changes to the Constitution. The Assembly was roaring with all kinds of different reactions. I felt destroyed. I lowered my head and closed my eyes for a second. God, I'm sorry. It's okay. We'll find another plan. The MPs kept shouting in the hall. Among them, I heard Franz Richter's voice. I blame the president for this result. He and his party's weak attitude towards real change doomed him from the start. He's just like his predecessors, enjoying the privilege of the presidency while ignoring the responsibility that comes with it. Fuck you, Richter. It is time to realize that real change will only come from the real reformists. The People's Freedom and Justice Party will keep leading this movement. The reformist MPs started applauding him. Suddenly I noticed Tarkin's soul slowly rising from his seat in the back. He seemed to be struggling, and used his cane for help. He stood and gazed around the hall as all the members of the Grand National Assembly went silent. He walked out the exit as two of his guards held the doors for him. Thank God he didn't do anything. Soul or no soul, we were definitely fucked. Neither the party nor the public is going to be pleased. We can't change the Constitution. So what? We're still in charge. We can still make a difference here. It's hard to be in charge without any support. Well, let's see what happens. We need to hold an emergency meeting to plan our next moves. We both looked down at the floor for a while. After gathering our thoughts, Peter and I walked out of the assembly hall. We waited for Serge by the entrance. Fuck, man. I had no idea it would fail that abysmally. Holy crap. Holy crap, 122 yeses? What went wrong? That was abysmal. Wow. Friends must have backed out. That's the only explanation for... Or no, maybe... I might have lost too much conservative support. Shit, I might have lost too much conservative support. That must have been it. And also, I think I lost support both from the PFJP and the USP. What a fucking disaster. Assembly voted against constitutional changes. Rejected by the Assembly. Okay. This is This is disastrous. However, I still think we can get a good win out of this. We're probably going to lose re-election, but we can do as much as we can for the country. That's the goal. That's the new goal. Do as much as we can for the country. Lucian, Peter, and I met in my office and decided to move out onto the balcony to get some fresh air in the increasing summer heat. They both looked uncomfortable in their suits. Peter was trying to make eye contact and kept letting out depressing sighs. He wiped the sweat off his forehead with a handkerchief. What do we do now? All our plans for nothing. Yes, the USP leadership is beginning to target us as well. Not to mention Tarkin Sol himself. Yeah, what the hell was that about? Sol appearing out of nowhere? Gentlemen, nothing is over yet. We still have a country to lead. If we can lead it, which we will. You're right, sir. We must plan ahead now. We'll be organizing a cabinet meeting to discuss our present and future state of affairs. I will also try and test the waters with our MPs. We can't let the party slip out of our grasp. Ooh. What do I... Ooh, okay, I want each minister to give me a report. I do want that. I want a list of every party member who voted against the proposal. You know what? It's just the Conservatives. It's no question. It's the Conservatives. I know who voted against it. I want each minister to give me a report. Yes, sir. Lucian looked at his watch. I think it's time to conclude our little meeting, sir. There's a tap on my shoulder. Livia Suno had joined us on the balcony. Pardon the interruption, gentlemen. Mr. President, David Vichy is calling about the upcoming foreign policy meeting. Perfect timing. Tell him I'll be right there. I will, sir. She turned to leave the balcony, then back to us. My condolences on the vote results, Mr. Rain, Peter. She looked Peter in the eye as she said this, and ignored Lucian altogether. Peter's eyes followed her as she walked out. Getting pretty hot out here. Okay, let's call a finish. You may both go. All right, gentlemen. See you later. They both left. What a fucking disaster. USP meeting criticizes president. In yesterday's internal USP meeting, a large group of party members voiced their disappointment in the failed constitutional vote in the assembly. Lilith Graft, that bitch, criticized President Rain for pursuing change without in-depth research, proper communication between the party members, blaming the president and the vice president for the failure. Damn it. If we can recover the economy, I think we'll be in an okay position. Roomberg whistleblower arrives. A whistleblower from the Roomberg Security Bureau has escaped to Sordland by crossing the border and turned himself into the authorities at Estord. Agent Chelston Hailstone has promised to reveal extremely sensitive information about the development of a weapons program. We can give him refuge to him and risk antagonizing Roomberg, or send him back. Yeah, grant him asylum. Absolutely. I'm not going to turn away a whistleblower. I wouldn't turn away a whistleblower in general, but like if it's Roomberg specifically, yeah, of course not. I want that info. Whistleblower in safe house. After receiving Agent Chelston Hailstone, we have secretly transferred him to a safe house near Antel. The perimeter is guarded by special forces units to ensure no escape nor rescue attempt can be conducted by Roomberg intelligence. The agent is currently being interrogated thoroughly to make sure the preliminary information he provided is accurate. Okay. What have we got? I don't want to go to a fucking movie right now. Sure. Whatever. I'd been invited to an exclusive preview of Alfred Sheerbook. What's he made? Ooh. The Swordish's Dream. That's what he did. Okay. I had been invited to an exclusive preview of Alfred Sheerbook. New film, The Morning Shall Come. Although I wasn't in much of a movie-going mood, yeah, me neither, it would have been unprecedented not to attend. With its massive budget and Sheerbook's directorial cachet, this drama was set to be a milestone for Sordland's burgeoning film scene. Personally, though, I was just looking forward to spending some time with my family. It was a very hot and sunny day as Serge drove us to the old capital. The film was to be screened in the historic cinema Anglais de l'Ellerie. The very first cinema in Sordland. Suzerain maxed out the air conditioning to keep the Kadia comfortable. I kept silent through most of our ride on the H1. I couldn't get my mind off the results of the assembly vote. Yeah, me neither. Frank fidgeted with his tie as he stared out the window. What's wrong, Frank? Since when do you care what's happening in my life? You know I'll support you whether you pass or fail those exams. What an honor, Your Highness. Frank, don't touch your father that way. He's been working so hard for this country. I ignored him and turned to Diana. Excited for the movie, sweetie? Diana nodded happily. What about you, Papa? I know you're sad, but failure helps us grow, right? Exactly. Now, where did you learn that? Diana giggled. From you. Everything's going to be wonderful from now on. Isn't it, Monica? Of course. Let's just focus on having a nice time at the movies. Monica folded her arms. We drove on in silence. Serge rolled down the sun-proof glass between us. Sir, we are about to enter Ellery. You will be at the cinema in a few minutes. Thank you, Serge. I took a brief look outside as Serge rolled down the soundproof glass again. I could see the many towers of Ellery rising over what was left of the old city walls. In the distance, there were several planes flying towards the city. As they got closer to us, I saw that they were military planes that looked like the sharp-edged Arcasian designs. They were probably headed for our new joint military base. Serge knocked on the glass and gestured forwards. We were at the main square of Ellery, and the historic Cinema Anglais, the Cinema of Angels, was right in front of us. Is this the place? Yeah. It was an old Baroque-style corner building with walls that looked like marble from a distance. There were exquisite ornaments on each side of every window. Serge pulled the car to the entrance of the building, which was lit by vivid neon stripes in many colors. Come on, let's get out. Serge opened the doors and we exited onto the red carpet. We were just about to enter the building when a journalist managed to block the path. Mr. President, how are you handling the defeat of your constitutional reforms in the Assembly? I'm going to keep fighting for my changes. This isn't over yet. Thank you, Mr. President. Were you aware that Tarkin Sol would be present at the proceedings? I refuse to discuss Colonel Sol at this time. Before she could ask anything else, the guards ushered us inside the theater. Maybe I should have said of course. In contrast with the cinema's Baroque-style exterior, the inside was modern and sleek, with bare walls painted in black, red, and white. The film's cast and crew were already in the foyer, with glasses of champagne in their hands. We approached the crowd and were welcomed by the producers and event organizers. A man walked up to us with quick steps. Madame, Mr. President, it's so good to see you here. He gently bowed at Monica and shook our hands. It's an honor to meet you. I'm Alfred Kierbuk. The honor is mine, Mr. Kierbuk. I'm a big fan of your work. Frank snorted. I glanced at him, and he innocently took a sip of his cola. It's very humbling to know that you've been watching and enjoying my movies. If you don't mind my asking, which one was your favorite? This one may be slightly different from my previous works. I loved The Sword's Dream. Oh, really? Then you might enjoy this one, too. I'll admit, I didn't expect you to be such a cinephile. Frank looked me in the eye and struggled not to laugh. Why don't we take our seats? It's about to start. We entered the screening room, lights dimmed, and the film began. It was a period drama in the 1870s about a sword soldier who pursues a doomed romance with a widowed British farmer during the conquest of Persia. Lag. As the credits rolled, I made an early exit to use the men's room. I was washing my hands when I heard an unmistakable voice behind me. So, what did you think? Tarkin Sol leaned on his cane. He had the same frail appearance I'd noticed in the assembly meeting. Yet up close, I could still sense the raw magnetism that had kept him in power for 20 years. I found the plot questionable, but it certainly looked spectacular. What about yourself? Sentimental pablum for the enjoyment of housewives only, and for a period piece, the script contained far too many anachronisms. Indubitably. I'm surprised to see you're still around, sir. What were you doing at the assembly? My country is about to make a rash decision. I couldn't simply sit by. And are you pleased with the outcome? Quite. There was a glint in his eye. A true president knows when he must step down. A lesson you'd be wise to learn yourself. I will not let you and that bleeding-heart idiot Richter tarnish my precious constitution. I'm doing it for the good of the country. Some of his spittle landed on my cheek. You'll find out soon enough how your country repays you for your goodness. He slipped past me and out the door. Soul's security staff and mine were now clustered outside the washroom, forming a buffer against the large crowd that had gathered. That's Tarkin's Soul, I heard someone scream. His guards closed around him, and mine around me. By the time the chaos subsided, I was back in the car with my family, and Soul was long gone. Wow, we have a lot to do. Threat from BFF's terrorist. Rain and Soul meet at meeting. A movie. Rain to keep fighting for reforms following assembly defeat. This isn't over yet. Investment surge boosts Gasson. That's very good. What are Rain and Soul high? Are you kidding me? Fuck off. Rain vetoes racist language bill. That's good, at least. Gasson experiences boom, expands workforce. Fantastic. Gasson is like Haven is experiencing a period of significant growth, leading to a major expansion of its workforce. This boom in business has not only boosted the company's fortunes, but has also created numerous job opportunities, bolstering the local economy. Gasson branch opening boosts local economy. Great. Boosts local economy. Agnolia warns against Vaxlandian threat to the seas. Dirgia extends blessings on Dissension Day. Golconda's threat against Gasnurists. 2 organizations declared support for British Freedom Front. Who are they? Children of Zam and the Golconda is called Golconda Blitterat. That's not good. Since Peace Armada to help XEC, Jinan Economic Cooperation. Well, Gassam seems to be doing well. That's very good for us. Okay, briefing on the diplomatic strategy, dinner at home, and... Okay, let's go for the ceremony. Morning haze surrounded the city of Dire as the sun dawned on the day of Ascension, holiest day of the Nerdy religion. It celebrated the first message received from God by Saint Dast and his 30 disciples. As per tradition, the celebration was held inside the Ark Sanctuary of Desnurity, closed to the public eye. This year, however, for the first time, it was going to be televised. This was Lucian's idea, as he saw it, granting the people a rare glimpse in the grand ceremony and showing them how seriously the president took this holy event would ease any tensions that lingered in the region. And so, we arrived at the largest cathedral in Sordland. A huge crowd gathered around our convoy as our car pulled up to the entrance. This will work out well, sir. Trust me. Of course, that's only if the prayer is done completely correctly. Please, don't forget the order. First, I'm just gonna... grasp the holy scepter with your left hand. Holy scepter, left hand. With your left hand, altar, right hand. Kneel, 8, 4. Sorry, I can't screw this up. I've already fucked the constitutional vote. Wait for him to put the sword on your shoulder. Then touch the... Then touch the sword with the hand you touched the altar with. Sword. Right hand. Hand the scepter over to the archpriest. Scepter... Archpriest. Touch the altar with, hand the scepter to the archpriest, and receive the sword before passing it on to a disciple. Sword to disciple. Pretty straightforward, isn't it? Yeah, sure. Okay, wait. Holy scepter with your left hand, good. Altar with your right, good. Kneel for the archpriest and wait for him to put the sword on your shoulder. Kneel, wait for sword, good. Touch the sword with the hand you touch the altar with. Sword, right hand. Hand the scepter to the archpriest. Scepter to the archpriest. Receive the sword before passing it to the disciple. Very good. You will have to go first. I will come inside later and we will meet up after your part is done. Good luck, sir. I exited the car and was greeted by a chorus of cheers and camera flashes. I waved to the people as I made my way to the second gates. Oh, grand gates. The Arch-Sanctuary was a sight to see. With its towering visage, it cast a shadow over a large portion of the city. I had to crane my neck to see the narrow spires at the top. Just standing next to it made me feel awe and dread in equal measure. As I reached the gates, I spotted my welcoming committee. The archpriest and his disciples were waiting for my arrival. At my approach, they all bowed their heads in respect. The archpriest gave me an infectious smile as he straightened back up. Tall and handsome, in his mid-50s, he was one of the youngest and most popular archpriests in history. Some of his more avid followers even likened him to St. Dast. "Mr. President, praise God. It is a blessing to see you on our most holy day again. Welcome, welcome." Bow before the archpriest. I bowed my head before the archpriest, which triggered a few murmurs of approval from the crowd. The crowd was still cheering loudly. The archpriest turned and raised both of his hands, and everyone immediately fell silent. "Oh, great people of Sordland, once again we are gathered here to honor the Day of Dissension. I am indescribably happy to be sharing this moment with you, as well as every blood and sword, old and young, turning into their television to watch this holy commemoration. Along with the leader of our great nation, I say, let the holy day begin. Stay far from evil, O sons, O daughters, for evil hides itself under many disguises such as blasphemy, apostasy, and even alcohol. Be good, my children. Praise God. Praise Sordland." He smiled beautifully as the crowd burst into rapturous applause. After it subsided, he turned to me. "Shall we move inside for your confession?" I pulled the archpriest aside for a photo. Many flashbulbs burned my eyes at the same time. I heard whistles, claps, and cheers from the crowd. Most excellent. He led me through the main hall, which had a stratospheric ceiling and numerous icons lining the walls. We walked up to a creaking spiral staircase to the top floor and finally arrived in front of the confession chamber. "Right this way." He gestured towards a chair in the dark room. The room smelled of old mahogany and scented candles. The archpriest proceeded to light each and every one of those candles, one for each virtue and vice. "I will be right with you." He left the room. A minute later, I heard the sound of a sliding window right next to me. He spoke with a very soft voice. "Anton Rain, speak. Speak and confess now before the one God, and may he repent your sins on the most holy day of dissension." "I confess that I am not sure what I am doing for Sordland is enough." "You do carry a heavy burden on your shoulders. What you have confessed is not a sin, but you may share your burden with me if you like." "I'm trying to reform the country, but I don't know if the country is ready for it yet. Reformation is one of the tenets of Nurity, yet it must come slowly but surely. Anything else you would like to confess?" "I confess that I've been a bad husband. Family is the cornerstone of society. Under the watchful eyes of the God, men are required to protect their wives and family. But God created us as complex creatures. At times, conflicts rise among us. Tell me, what was your sin?" "I've been neglecting my family due to the stress of my position." "Tragedy of neglect happens to all working men that feeds his family. Rejoice. God is kind in the matters of family. Anything else you would like to confess?" "That's all for today. Before God, I thank you for sharing. You are now forgiven before God, Anton Raid. May you never sin again." The sliding window closed, and the archpriest entered the confession chamber. For the confession to end, you must extinguish the candles representing each one of your virtues and vices. With this, the once burning sins connected to you are now smoke and then nothing. Extinguish the candles. One by one, I extinguished the candles. "Well done, Mr. President. Let's move on to my quarters before the ceremony." He led me through the 1,000-year-old corridors to his office. The smell of dust and old tomes was in the air, along with the scent of burning incense being prepared for the ceremony. "Well then, please have a seat." The wooden chair next to him looked like it might turn to dust at a single touch. I sat down gingerly. It was surprisingly sturdy. "Are you ready for the ceremony?" "Absolutely." "Very good to hear." He leaned back in his chair comfortably. "I wanted to talk to you about something. I heard you decided on the new school curriculum, and decided that creationism shall no longer be taught in Sordland schools. Needless to say, I and the rest of the church are outraged. This possibility that entire generation of school children will have their minds filled with nonsense about evolution while failing to learn one of the main tenets of Nurity. It will hurt us for years to come." Religion doesn't belong in schools, just like it doesn't belong in government's policies. Well, I was just a couple of knocks were heard on the door, and a young boy came in. He bowed before the archpriest, then me, before letting us know that the ceremony was about to begin. We made our way downstairs where the ceremony was already in progress. The choir sang angelically as the archpriest took his position beside the altar. When they finished their hymns, an expectant silence fell over the room. It was time for my part. Thankfully, I took notes. I started my walk, bowed, and approached the altar. Grab the scepter with your left hand and touch the altar with your right. Kneel before the archpriest. Scepter in hand, I knelt before the archpriest. The archpriest laid the sword on my shoulder. Touch the sword with your right hand. I touched the sword with my right hand. Hand the scepter to the archpriest. I handed the scepter to the archpriest and waited for him to give me the sword. The archpriest handed me the sword. Passed the sword to a disciple. I got up and proceeded to my designated spot next to Lucian. He leaned over and whispered in my ear. Compared to last year, that went surprisingly well, sir. My eyes met the archpriest and he very slightly nodded. The ceremony went on for another hour and a half. Finally, the noon bells chimed, marking the end of the cathedral service. We left the cathedral to greet the waiting crowd. As I stepped outside, I heard everyone cheering and chanting my name. Lucian's gambit seemed to have been a success. We waved proudly for a minute or two. See, sir? I told you it would work. We entered our cars and drove back to our suites in Dyer. Good. It's one less thing to worry about. Dirty and blessings for Source Ascension ritual. However, we expressed hope that religious goodwill can translate to improve political and social conditions for all Neuris, but specifically Golcondas and Sordland. Okay. Yeah, fair. Alright. President attends the Day of Dissension. I think that went well. Alright. David, what have you got for us? Briefing on the diplomatic strategy. The doors to the White Room, like everything else in the Maroon Palace's main nerve center, were painted white. I took a deep breath before pushing them open. Time for yet another meeting. At least this time, it was with people who liked me. The attendees rose from their seats. Mr. President. Yosef nodded. He and Lucian sat down, while David remained standing. Now that you are here, let's talk about our diplomatic strategy. David cleared his throat. Mr. President, if I may, I would like to provide you with a short overview of where we are right now. Go ahead. Although we did not make a trade deal with Velen, we succeeded in making one with Agnolia, which means we have increased our presence in the region. These deals were important pieces of leverage and significant first steps into the global arena. We must now look towards the future. Go on. David sat down, pulled out a few papers, and started going through them as he kept talking. Velen and Agnolia were practice runs. We must begin improving our relationship with greater nations. We need to elevate our international standing, especially with the threat of Rumberg looming. Yosef cleared his throat. Mr. President, you know me. I don't trust the helping hands of other countries offer us, for good reasons. But I also know when those helping hands are necessary, and right now we need all the help we can get. I've said this over and over, but I will repeat it until it gets through your skull. Rumberg will come, sooner or later. And with the current state of our military, if a Rumberg invasion happens, Sordland will cease to exist. We need allies. We ought to heed General Lancia's advice. Oh, General Lancia. So he is a general. That's good to know. Mr. President. I trust your assessment, Yosef. Thank you, Mr. President. A military perspective is important, but these deals are about more than just gaining allies. We also need to consider the benefits to our economy such deals will provide. We may be close to ending the recession, yes, but why not go a step further? Agreed. David took a seat and brought out 2 stacks of documents. At the start of our term, I had a comprehensive trade deal plan laid out. Following the visits to Velhen and Agnolia, we were to pursue potential trade deals with 2 greater nations. Axland is one of them. If we can manage to get them to the table, there is much more potential here than in Velhen or Agnolia. Because they're one of the most important countries in the CSP, a deal with Vagsland is a ticket to bringing Sordland closer to the United Continent sphere. Dealing with countries in the CSP is dangerous in our current state. Not in general, but in our current state. A simple trade deal wouldn't cause issues unless we decide to go further. Moving on to Lesbia, our southern neighbor is one of the wealthiest countries in eastern Makopa. A trade deal with them would be very beneficial, not just for our economy, but also for our regional and international presence. Not to mention that they are in the Arcasian sphere. A trade deal with Lesbia could open many doors for us. True, a country as influential as Lesbia could help elevate our economy. That is it for the overview. As to the actual contents of the trade deal, the investment we have done in Lauren region has yielded positive results. Lucian? Lucian pulled out his small notebook and quickly flipped through the pages until he landed on the right one. Looking at my stats here, the investment helped increase the coal output of the region. We now have a surplus. Yes! Yes! The plan paid off. Fantastic. Which makes an excellent resource for trade. Let's not get ahead of ourselves. I need to know your decision before we can proceed. What should we do? Before you say anything, remember what I said. We need allies, not just a trade deal. If Rumburg attacks, we will fall. Ooh. We can talk to... Ooh, I didn't know we'd get an option like this. You know what? Yeah. Let's talk to both of them. It can't hurt to talk to both of them. Unless trying to talk to both will piss one or the other off. Okay. Okay, I don't know what... I don't... That's a... Okay, this is actually very interesting. I don't know what the consequences for picking one or the other or both have. I imagine that picking both will piss off, like, you know, kind of irritate both of them a little bit, and they'll be less willing to be more, you know, amenable to us. However, there is a chance that... Well, I mean, maybe this just does nothing, but... I've been talking about trading with Lesbia for a while now, and we've already gotten the planes from the ATO in Erlery, and we have an amazing amount of output from the Lauren region for coal, and I think that Lesbia wants more energy. As for Vagsland, I don't entirely know what they want. Okay, I'm going to take a risk here, and I'm going to say begin negotiations with Lesbia, specifically, because I hope what this will do is, by only negotiating with Lesbia, they're going to be more amenable to us, and they're not going to think we're, like, you know, playing both sides. They're going to think, okay, we're making a deal with them, and hopefully we're going to get more out of it. So I'm going to say begin negotiations with Lesbia, because I want to trade my surplus energy to them. That's the whole point. I've invested into Gasholm, I've invested into Lauren, we put a lot into electronics, we've got a good energy sector going right here. So we'll sell them, I want to sell them the excess. So, or surplus, to use David's term. Begin negotiations with Lesbia. Excellent news. I will begin at once. That was all I had for today. Thank you for coming. Thank you, gentlemen. Joseph saluted as we left the White Room. Okay. See what else we got. Isolated polio cases seen in Berja. That's really bad. Ooh, polio cases explode in Berja. Oh, wait, these are saying very different things. Several cases of polio have been recently diagnosed in the region. Recession hits workers. Shit, gotta get out of it. As in the rest of Sordland, workers in Gelzord are bearing the brunt of the recession. The manufacturing sector has been hit particularly hard, and as a record number of factory workers filed for employment over the last month. Shit. Currency loses value against Arcasian lira. Shh, this is really bad. Port of Lackhaven gains new importance following the completion of the L1 high-speed railway. Holzor and Lackhaven. Port of Lackhaven has been experiencing higher traffic than ever. Okay. Healthcare quality improved. Excellent. Good. Unemployment greatly reduced in Morgna. Good. Okay, great. Okay, that's something. That's something. Rain will visit Lesbia for trade deal. President Rain has scheduled a visit to Lesbia in order to discuss a possible trade deal with Prime Minister Patricio Alvarez. Exactly what would be on the table is unclear, although insiders speculate Rain could be preparing to offer Swordfish fish, wheat, coal, or tungsten. Ah, there it is. In exchange for Lesbian capital. An alliance between the two countries is also not out of the question. What is clear is that this visit will bring Sordland closer to alignment with Arcasia. We can sell all of this. I think we have reserves of all of this. I don't know where the tungsten necessarily is coming from, but okay. Dinner with the family at home. I arrived home from work, hung up my jacket, and put my briefcase in the hall. I paused, awaiting for my usual greeting from my wife and daughter, Diana. Diana was out at one of her after-school art classes, I remembered. But where was Monica? From the living room, I heard a muffled sob. I entered to find Monica sitting on the sofa, a letter in her hands, and a look of despair on her face. Darling, what's wrong? Monica briefly rested her head on my shoulder, then handed me the letter. It's from the Department of Education. Frank's university exam results are in. He failed, didn't he? Just read the letter. I looked at the page below. Below Frank's name and address, his score was written, 435 points out of 1,000. At the bottom of the letter, the word failed was stamped in red. All those years of effort, all those private lessons, all down the drain. Maybe it'll be good for him to learn from his mistakes. This isn't just about Frank, you know. Him failing will reflect badly on you, on us. I just don't understand. Frank's a smart boy. Why would he sabotage himself like this? I heard a key turning in the front door. Frank stomped in and was about to go straight to his room upstairs when he noticed us both in the living room. Mom? Dad? What's going on? Have a seat, Frank. He took a seat across from us and I handed him the letter. He started reading it. Oh, shit. Son, we're not angry at you. I need a moment. He went to the kitchen sink and washed his face. A moment later, he came back. I never thought this would happen. I'm so sorry. It's not the end of the world. Pretty close, though, isn't it? Frank looked close to tears. Monica put her hand on his shoulder. It's going to be okay, but you really should have studied harder, Frank. I know. So, what am I supposed to do now? Well, there's always military school, but you're the president's son. You still have options. Yes. Monica surprised me with her enthusiasm. If Alfonso could get his dimwit son into Kings Hill University, I'm sure Holzard State would have room for a bright boy like Frank. It would be nice to have him closer to home. Holzard State would be amazing. A bunch of my friends are going there. I could still come home to do my laundry. But I failed the exams. This sucks. Are you sure about all this? Isn't it technically illegal? You could also study abroad. United People's University in United Contana is free. It also has an excellent medical program. Communism? I can dig that. Not exactly how I was expecting to spend my student years, but anything's better than the military. This is the future of our boy, Anton. What should we do? This sucks. Okay, we can't send him to United Contana. Like, we're not friendly with them. If we were friendly with them, this would be a different story here, but we're not. It doesn't make any sense. Diplomatically, politically, it's just not a good idea. Second of all, I can't send him to the military. We've defunded the military. This is stupid. We've funded the education for everybody else, but we have to send our own kid to the military? No, that's ridiculous. We can't do that. But also, Holzard State University, he failed the exams. This is, you know, not okay. This is not good. Having said all that, I think I know what I choose, though. I think Holzard State University is the best decision. Not because I want to, you know, he failed the exams. He should, you know, have to deal with the consequences of that, but not the military. That's way too far. That's not a consequence. That's just kind of a death knell, frankly. We have increased the education budget. I hope this is not the worst thing, but Holzard State University is the right decision after all. Nepotism. Thanks so much, Dad. I swear, I won't let you down this time. Monica let out a long exhale. What a day. Who's hungry for dinner? Monica disappeared in the kitchen, Frank to his room. I went to my office and began making some phone calls. Ashraf anniversary. He is for sure one of the most controversial figures who have ever lived in the country. As his anniversary is approaching, there is one question that is shared in everyone's mind. What will the administration do? Every year, people in Suzerain, gather in Suzerain to hold a vigil and solemn anniversary of his death. They light the candles in his memory and hold cultural festivals. What is different this year, however, are the claims that the Bullish movement will be holding their largest rally in Suzerain during the anniversary. Perhaps it is time for the administration to let bygones be bygones and take a step back to a display of unity of Sordland to the people who very much need it. New school completed. Narba celebrated the opening of its new secondary school, a 2-story building with 50 classrooms, state-of-the-art teaching equipment. The school is funded as part of the government initiative to improve rural access to education. Awesome! That's fantastic. Okay, great. Oh, here we go. This is going to be embarrassing. All right. Cabinet meeting on the results of the vote. Let's do this. Lucian stood upright, holding a large folder of files under his arm. He bowed in acknowledgement. He looked exhausted. The cabinet has gathered in the White Room, sir. The Vice President will be opening the session soon. We can go in whenever you're ready. Thank you, Lucian. You look tired. How are you holding up? It's nothing, sir. I'm ready and able as always. Are you sure? You can be honest with me. I'm always honest with you, sir. I'll admit, this last year was tough, especially all that lobbying work, but it's nothing to break me down, sir. Trust me, I'm fine. He fixed his tie. Anything you want to say before we go in? No, sir. Just keep it cool with the cabinet. I believe concerns will be raised this meeting. What are you saying? Should I be expecting something? No, sir, I don't believe there's anything we didn't expect. However, our failure on the reforms have had a huge impact on public opinion. The party is quite discontent about the whole situation. They believe your presidency has destroyed the USP's prestige. We need their trust. We have to do something to prove our capabilities. Of course, sir. Let's discuss that in the meeting. He just at the door with the files he held. I think we should go, sir. Mr. Vice President must have started the session already. Lucian held the door for me, and we both left the office for the White Room. When we entered the room, Peter was speaking to the cabinet members who were already seated around the table. As soon as they noticed me, they all stood up. Good day, everyone. Please, have a seat. Peter turned towards me. Everybody except him took their seats. He stood right next to the chair, my chair in the middle. And here's our president. He held out my chair for me to sit down in and smiled. Please. I sat down. Let Peter talk. Peter walked to his seat and spoke, still standing. Ladies and gentlemen, we are here to discuss our current status and the plan for the remainder of our term. I know that some of you have had your concerns about our style of governance so far. There will be a time to speak up about these in the meeting today. But I must also thank you for all your hard work so far. We are very lucky to have a team like this. All of you have been invaluable to this administration. Lilius grimaced as his remarks. Fuck Lilius. Having said that, now we have reached a critical point of our term. We are nearing the end. We worked long and hard, but we couldn't reform the Sorge Constitution. Our organization was flawed. Our party was not united. The very parliament we control has denied us the reforms. Lucian and I have begun investigating those who let us down at the vote and when we needed them the most. Gloria and the conservative wing of the party didn't back us up. Some party centrists have opposed us due to our decision to veto the campaign finance bill. Seriously? Seriously, that's why? Fuck them. Okay, let's pay attention to this. Gloria and the conservative wing of the party didn't back us up. Some of the party's centrists opposed us due to our decision to veto the campaign finance bill. Gassero, Keebner, and the National Front MPs didn't like the proposal and voted against it. He paused and looked around the room. But the past is the past. We must now look towards our future. So the reformists backed us, and the PFJP backed us. That actually makes sense. That actually makes sense. We got 120-something votes. So 70 from the PFJP, 80 here, and about 50 of, say about 50 reformists. That's about 120. That makes sense. Actually, that might have been about 130. Either way, those numbers actually kind of line up. So the conservatives screwed us. Conservatives and the centrists screwed us. Good to know. Keep that in mind. But the past is the past. We must now look towards our future. We are investigating and analyzing our faults. We will be taking measures accordingly. He glanced at both Lucian and me. Our party still remains divided. In order to look at the future, we may need to make some changes. On the other hand, the opposition is exploiting our failure for reform. The latest polls show a steep increase in the On the other hand, the opposition is exploiting our failure for reform. The latest polls show a steep increase in the opposition's support. So, let's start the meeting with a brief look at some reports. He fumbled with the stack of papers in front of him. Despite the recent troubles, people seem to be content about our administration. The public opinion has not changed much. Very good. Very good. He took out a piece of paper from the stack and inspected it. The biggest concern of the people is the state of our economy. We are slowly slipping into a depression. It is only a matter of time until the people will be hit further. This will have dire consequences for our administration. This is the time to give the best we can for this administration and for Sordland. Peter turned to me. I'll give the word to the president now. He sat down. Mr. Vice President, thank you for the opening. Everyone's eyes were focused on me. First, I want to hear brief reports from each ministry. Peter gestured at Simon and he immediately stood up. Mr. President, dear colleagues, Mr. Vice President was pretty on point with the summary of the current economic status. He also used the word depression. He couldn't have been more correct. Our GDP has shrank by 15% last year. Ooh, this is bad. I might be fucked. If the economy doesn't recover from the investments, we might be fucked. This downward trend has broken our economy over the last years. If we cannot contain this in time, we will end our term, in the truest sense of the word, in a depression. However, this is not yet reflected well with our debt situation. Our national debt has increased about 85 billion Sordland this year. If we maintain such a deficit over the next years, we will face a massive debt crisis, which could crash the economy. The Assembly is working on introducing new tax bills, which will generate more revenue for the government. These efforts will depend on the government's deficit situation. On the other hand, unemployment has seen no positive changes. There has been an increase in joblessness. It is now at 22%. We need immediate measures to tackle this. Hundreds of thousands lost their jobs. Fuck. The trade war completely screwed me. This is bad. This is terrible. Is there any more to it? Well, I don't want to get into too much detail right now. But apart from all that, I'll finish with an update on our latest project. The manager reported that everything is going well and very fast with the Conrad Industrial Zone. I'll keep it brief for the sake of the whole meeting and end my report on that note. Thank you, Mr. Hull. Gus stood up as Simon sat down. I will also keep it very brief, Mr. President. The L1 railway has already been proven to be a success. We have managed to bring food prices down in the greater Holzhord and Gelsland regions. Our agricultural output has increased, and we are already seeing investments coming into rural areas. We are slowly but surely reigniting our agricultural production. Our ministry is aiding the farmers with the government subsidies. We're sure this will have a positive reflection on our economy in the near future. That will be all. Thank you, Mr. Manger. Next up was Pascal. Mr. President, there are currently no major problems within the Ministry of Health. We are currently investigating some reports of a small polio outbreak around a village called Heimer. I believe we can get into more details in our policy meeting soon. Thank you, Mr. Benoit. Joseph stepped up. The Ministry of Defense has a very important report regarding our situation with Rumburg. The investigations show that Rumburg was in fact weaponizing rebels against our state. We have learned that they have been aiding the Blizh rebels in Velen too. Our military must stand ready for any possible attack coming from Rumburg. We have gathered intelligence regarding their military research and production. They are building a massive army. Our military has no means to stand against such a superior force if we do not deploy new tactics. We cannot let them threaten us like this. Make the necessary arrangements, Mr. Lancia. We'll have to use whatever we have to its limit. Of course, sir. David stood up. Mr. President, Perla has agreed to begin negotiations. We will be moving on with that very soon. Our relations with Ignolia have greatly improved. Our ministries have scheduled many joint projects together. The region is very unstable. With the incidents at Rumburg, Velen, and Helgeland, we must be very cautious. We can talk more in detail at the foreign policy meeting. Thank you, Mr. Vichy. Chiara was next. Our ministry is working day and night to improve our education system and increase its accessibility. We have since built about 100 new schools and improved accessibility. We have accomplished a lot with our new curriculum. Our reforms will be greatly improving our output as a society. Lilia suddenly stood up. Mr. President. Fuck you, you interrupted her. We have important equipment missing from several of our major police departments. Did you have anything to do with that, Lilius? We might need to implement some new measures soon. We will provide you a more detailed report at a later date. Unfortunately, after the departure of Governor Braun, the situation in the special zone has barely changed. Despite not following the extreme policies of his predecessor, Governor Krull is continuing with discriminatory policies against the Bluts in Burja. I'm afraid if this continues, we will have a major problem on our hands. The reports of the BFF organizing its forces is very concerning. Oh, also, Mr. Greiser has a report for you regarding an investigation you wanted him to look at. There is one more important thing I want to ask you. I would like to transfer the gendarmerie under the Ministry of Interior to improve the internal security efforts. Ooh. I don't see Joseph accepting this. Well, he just might have to if the president of Sordland tells him to. The Ministry of Defense shouldn't be meddling with the internal security affairs through the gendarmerie. We've had several incidents where they were too violent too quickly, and it stems from military officers giving reckless orders at times. I am not so sure how this would help. I can assure a better internal security structure with cohesion and successful operations. Will you transfer the gendarmerie to the interior in the future? Yeah, I think I have to. Look, tensions are going to go up drastically in the near future on account of, one, the country kind of being in a, a really shit state, but also because of the threats of the British Freedom Front and the threat of nationalist backlash. It might, I think I have to. Because, like, the military's kind of not in a great position anyways, and I don't think them keeping the gendarmerie will help us. I think we have a better chance of restoring stability if the Ministry of the Interior gets strengthened. So I think I have to say yes here. I will support you in the gendarmerie authority transfer. Now it's your turn. Excellent. Lilia smiled faintly. Nia stood up. Since the removal of Governor Braun from office, there have been some positive results for our British citizens in Berja. However, Governor Krull seems to be looking for new loopholes to continue Braun's racist policies in different ways. Mr. Erson has gained a lot of popularity for his fight against Governor Braun, and is now leading a peaceful ground movement against Governor Krull. Luckily, I've been working on the semi-autonomous zone project for Berja, and I have an update on that. Apart from a few small details, the project is ready to be implemented. We'll soon be able to get rid of the current governor. I will send the final documents for you to sign soon, Mr. President. Great work as always. Thank you. Of course. Nia took her seat. Next, I want to talk about our new focus and some of my plans going forward. Well, this is a very interesting situation. Okay. You know what? Okay, so a few things to talk about here. One, economy. So saying the economy will be our number one priority until the end of our term, we will aim to boost it further. Now, I'd like to do that. However, I don't think it'll give us the biggest bang for our buck. Put it this way. If we go with this and prioritize the economy even further, that'll be good, of course, for the economy. That's a very strong move. However, if everything else doesn't go to plan, if the trade deal with Lesbia doesn't go through, if the investments don't start really synergizing, then our focus on the economy here will lead to nothing. It'll just be a dead weight and it won't help anything. If we boost it slightly, then like everything else will boost, I guess, potentially. But again, we're waiting on the final results of our investments here. And so I don't think focusing on the economy is a good move. We'll focus on the trade deal. We'll try to get the best deal we can, and we'll, fingers crossed, get our investments back from Gassom. And again, hopefully everything will, all the investments we've made so far will supercharge the economy and we'll be okay. But I don't think focusing on the economy here will help. Second, the public opinion is concerning. We must focus on campaigning for the next election already. Frankly, don't think it's helping. I don't think this will help. The public opinion it's definitely concerning. But I think right now that the public opinion will improve. One, if the economy is saved, the public opinion will improve with it. That will be a very good thing. Two, public opinion isn't really it's not an important thing to focus on. It's more that if everything else goes to shit anyway, the public opinion won't matter too much. If the economy crashes, public opinion's dead. It doesn't matter. Campaigning won't fix that. If we've screwed up, that's that. However, it's time to focus on changing our party as a whole. I will add a new vision in our manifesto. If we can step forward, potentially with a new unified front, a new party manifesto, and really start to push for something, really get people's attention, I think we essentially do all three. We make a clear new movement, we solidify our current support, and we carve off the people who won't support us, i.e. in this case, the conservatives and the centrists. We solidify on one united message, we campaign that across the board, and we really, really gun for it. I think that will be the best thing we can do in this scenario. Because the conservatives already do not support us. But if we can solidify our support among the liberals and the loyalists, we might be able to pull some of the support away from the PFJP. So I'm going to say this. This is a risk, but I'm going to say it's time to focus on changing our party as a whole. I will add a new vision in our manifesto. Cabinet looked uneasy. Lily spoke with a concerned look in her eye. I'm sorry? As I said, I will reform our party platform. I see. And the party leadership will agree with that? Do I be aggressive here? I think I have to go on the offensive here. You see, I am the current chairman, Ms. Graff. You're right about that. However, the party does not belong to you, Mr. President. You'll learn about my thoughts if you bring your suggestions to the leadership. That was the extent of my comments. We can move on. Thank you for your comments. I turn to the others. If there are no comments, let's move on with the meeting. I believe that's everything. One by one, my ministers packed up and left the White Room. I followed suit and headed to my office. Carl Greiser was waiting for me by the door. Mr. President, can I have a moment of your time? I have something to discuss. Of course, let's go inside the office. We entered my office and I sat behind my desk. Please, have a seat, Carl. Thank you, sir, but I'm fine. I will not take long. The anti-corruption police has compiled a report regarding the active investigations. We have been watching the oligarchs closely, just as you asked, and found a very complex web of connections. There are missing links within our investigation, but the oligarchs seem to be involving themselves in huge cases of corruption and lobbying. Even though so many links led to Walter Tusk, we couldn't find any direct incriminating evidence yet. Currently, we're following a trail that leads to Estord, which will hopefully and finally get us Tusk. We also have another suspicion. Our findings led to us believing there might be some connections between the increasing legal arms trafficking in East Markovka and the oligarchs. If we decide to proceed with our investigation, we can potentially uncover a lot more. Continue our efforts and keep looking. Yes, sir. I'll give you an update soon. I will also send you the detailed report of our previous findings. Thank you for your time. Thank you, Carl. He bowed his head and left the office. The last 2.5 years had gone by so fast. Tell me about it. Whistleblower agent report. Agent Hailstone has received intelligence about a secret nuclear weapons program developed in Rumburg. Our intelligence has verified the details relayed about a heavy water facility in north of the kingdom and a ballistic missile test site. The agent will be provided security under the protection program and will be given resources to transfer further intelligence to our units. Good. Gang violence diminished. The police chief of Estor reported that the local police force had finally eliminated one of the biggest money-making schemes of the Coronelli. According to the report, over the last month, 40 mob members have been arrested along with 3 high-ranking members of the Coronelli. Excellent. Ribery requests aid. The buzzing shops in the city of Ribery are now filled with barred-up shops and sites of looting. Shit. The city has been hit hard due to its main suppliers being from the nearby city of Lacaven. Many corporations and businesses are moving away from the city entirely. The citizens of Ribery are requesting the government's help to get out of their dire situation. Okay. Duly noted. See what we can do there. Uh-oh. Guess we're talking to the nation. I'm not excited. Hey, this is looking a bit better. This is looking good. Okay, maybe we're back on track. Maybe the investments will come through. I can only hope. Lucian and I walked into my office in the Maroon Palace to make my address to the nation's speech. It was unusually crowded today. Cameras, lights, and microphones were set in place and the crew was standing by, ready to start filming. Are you ready, sir? Yes. Let's do it. Good. I think the crew is ready. As soon as you take your seat, we can go live. I took my seat and rearranged my notes on the desk as a crew member powdered my face with a cotton puff. After everybody was ready, the director gave the signal to start filming. I looked directly into the camera. My fellow citizens. Okay. This is going to be a very, very choice intensive. I'd like to speak about the events of the past months, about a great historic effort to give the words freedom, fairness, and hope new meaning and power. I took office with a plan to dismantle Sordland's ancient government structure and replace it with one that met the needs of the modern country we are today. Too wordy. I began my term with one goal, to transform Sordland into a modern democracy. Not bad. From the moment I was sworn in, I've done nothing but fight to achieve the change you demanded. 3. I began my term with one goal, to transform Sordland into a modern democracy. Too weak. Due to circumstances beyond my control. Too weak. Alas, my vision was too grand for the narrow scope of our current assembly. Not great. My ambition did not waver, even as forces within my own government, conspired against me. That's not bad. I like that. My ambition did not waver, even as forces within my own government conspired against me. If assembly members had their way, Tarkin's soul's constitution would last until the end of time. Not what I wanted to say next, but okay. Maybe 3. They stubbornly clung to Sordland's past, knowing it would cost us the country's future. And so they spitefully acted against me, putting their own pettiness before the needs of the country. Yeah, I like that. So they spitefully acted against me, putting their own pettiness before the needs of this country. Because remember, we're addressing the citizens, not the party. But I will tell you this, I am not done fighting for you. I have not given up my commitment to equality and justice. Not bad. It's time to put the setback behind us and focus on the challenges ahead. Historians shall look upon this as but a minor hurdle in Sordland's path to greatness. No. Commitment to equality and justice. I have not given up on my commitment to equality and justice. The future is in our hands. With or without the Assembly's support, there is no end to what we can achieve. I took a deep breath, lotion shooed a fly away from my forehead. With reform now off the table, I shall keep following through on my promise to improve Sordland's education system. I thank you for standing by me, your president, both in good times and bad. A Morgna Wes Core, Vecten Sista. The director gave the cut signal, and the cameraman stopped filming. My speech was finished. Wow, that was an intense episode. That was exceptionally intense. Fucking amazing game. Okay. So, our reform failed. I wasn't expecting that, but I guess in hindsight, I shouldn't have been shocked. We alienated the conservatives far too much. But I think we can still get out of this. At the very least, even if we lose the elections, I still think we've done a lot of good for the country. Healthcare system, education system, the economy. If the economy recovers and we really, really see the effects of our investments, we'll be in a very, 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 very good position. I think honestly, maybe if the economy recovers, we can even win the next election. That's a maybe. I don't know. But I have not given up hope yet. Even without the constitutional reforms, and even with the popularity loss that entails, I still think we can do really, really great things for the country. I still think we've got something in us. But with that, I leave this episode here. Thank you all so, so much for watching. I'm Mixed Gray. Thank you all for being here. Thank you all for this amazing adventure. The channel's been doing so well, and I'm so, so happy for all of your support. It means the absolute world for me. Thank you all so much for watching, and until next time, take care of yourselves. Bye.